Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow. Today is August the 1st, and I know I told you that this tall phlox would be here almost up until frost, but our heat and drought has caused it to look like this in lots of places. It's not pretty at all, and I was planning to take you to my friend from school that we've been friends all these years, and she has phlox, and I think it's a little different color maybe than this, but anyway, she said hers is doing the same thing. It's just succumbing to the heat and the drought and just the elements of summer. Today is August the 3rd. It's miserably hot, and it's much too hot to come out and clear out and do all the clipping and all the stuff that needs to be done, and I will need to do as soon as it is cooling up. But as soon as it's cool enough, I'd like to enjoy it, but right now I can't do this, and I'm going to have it done before I can really enjoy it, because there's so many places that look so ratty in the garden in August. I did go ahead and trim off this little, this is a hibiscus bush, my pink Texas star, and it actually looks pretty good right now. It was full of just dried, they look like cotton bolls, dried cotton, the burrs, when they have finished their flowering and made that little seed on them. That's what it looks like. But right now I clipped all those off, and it's looking pretty good. So many things are just nipped from the heat and just watering, and then it being hot too. It just really messes some things up. Of course, some things are still looking great. Look at this pretty limelight coleus shining even in the heat. I love coleus. They're always bright and beautiful, and they make it through Oklahoma's summer heat. Well, not all, but most of them do. And this one, it's going to make it, I'm pretty sure, but not without some places that are scorched and, of course, wilted. This coleus wilts down practically every day. Sometimes I give it a little extra water in the morning just to tide it over, but it's usually wilted by the time I get to it, but not so much so that so far it hasn't came out of it each day. Who would have thought that this little verbena is looking healthy and bright today, and I figured it would be just pretty much wilted down too, but it's looking good. The pretty daylilies are finishing up, but I will have a few that will bloom in the fall. So there will be a few. They just almost last from the beginning of summer until fall, the end of fall. So they're a wonderful plant to have. They do, of course, make this stalk that it's going to have to be divided, and you can tell there's about 3 there in that one, or maybe you can tell that by looking down there and seeing that there's at least 3 little individual ones together. This one probably does need to be divided and transplanted. This one definitely does. There's several there in it, and it won't be long. This is another job for early fall, or maybe even late summer, if I can find a pretty enough day to get out here and get this done. But all these dry dead stalks need to be removed so it can make it look prettier. Do you remember when I said that I was going to trim this little hummingbird mint down and see if it would reflower? Well, it's reflowering, and it looks so pretty. And I'm trimming this off again. It rebloomed from when I trimmed it down also, and it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and try to keep it trimmed a bit so that it won't go ahead and make seed and quit blooming for me. Also had a beautiful yellow hummingbird mitten, this one, but as you can tell, it's gone. It just couldn't survive the summer heat. I put it in late. It was one of the sale things that I got when they were closing them out and probably throwing some away. But this one was a little beauty, but it just didn't last. And this little verbena is looking good today too. It must be the day for verbena to shine. Some of my magic lilies are already spent, and some are still looking pretty good. You know, they're also called naked ladies because look, they have no foliage whatsoever. This little stem comes up and puts this on, but its foliage does come on in the spring and then goes away, and then in late summer and early fall it puts up a little naked stalk with a beauty at the top, causing it to be called naked ladies or magic lilies or surprise lilies. Oh my, this little coleus is so wilted down. I think it'll still come out of it. I certainly hope it does. It was looking great, and I clipped it back so you could see the little decor in there, and I do like it better like this, but I will be disappointed if it doesn't come out of that and look great again. The zinnias are still looking good, but it won't be long till I will need to trim these back so that they don't just go, the foliage, I don't want it to just go all ratty and ugly, and it will do that if you don't keep them trimmed off so they can renew themselves. Look at the pretty orange butterfly weed today. Oh, and I wanted to show you this. My wisteria that never blooms was actually just flopping all over the place, and so I came out and trimmed it off, and I saw something purple, and I trimmed it off and cut it off, but I looked again and I saw another one. Look, I have a wisteria bloom finally, after I don't even know how many years. But it was a welcome and exciting little spot in the garden that day. I had to go get my husband and bring him out here to see it too. And now I'm showing it to you. And I have a cousin who showed me hers, a picture of hers, and it was just loaded, just totally loaded and hanging over. She had it on, I think it was on an arbor, but it was just beautiful. And I thought this little purple splash pepper was a goner, but I kind of poked it down just a little deeper into the soil and kept watering it, and right now it's looking great. That's not to say that it doesn't have a long way to go, and it could still go ahead and give up in this heat. Who would blame it? But maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just keep going and be a beauty. It's so great that even in the heat, you can sometimes find something beautiful and surprising in the garden. Of course, there's always that's not so beautiful and not so surprising. Look at these poor little zinnias hanging their heads down. But this gardener is fixing to get busy watering, and I hope to make them just lift their little heads back up here in a little bit. A little bit of the tall phlox is still beautiful. Where it's getting quite a bit of water, there's a soaker hose underneath this, and that evidently is working, which some of my soaker hoses are just spewing out everywhere and not doing much good except for watering my path, which I don't really want watered, but that's the way it is right now. But someday maybe I'll get a better handle on that too, but right now I'm just lucky to have any, and happy to have any water going at all so that I don't have to just hand water everything. Look at this beautiful dark blue or purple clematis. It's not a big one like some of them are big as your hand or bigger, but this one is a small one, but it's so dark and so beautiful. I love it. More zinnias. And the Henry Eilers Rudbeckia is all in bloom today. This is another of the hibiscus, little hibiscus bush or plant, and this is one of the little seeds that get on them that look like a cotton burr. They are actually in the cotton family. And sometimes they come up from seed there too, but I don't have a lot of luck with them coming up from seed. If there's still any of the pretty darker tall phlox that I don't have a lot of, I would love to try to get some of it started from cuttings. Not only it, but also, well, I wouldn't mind to have some more of this salvia, but what I was thinking of is the pretty purple bee balm, and you can barely tell, but there is a little bit right there just to show you. I actually caught a third raccoon in our trap, but we haven't caught any in several days, so that's good. However, we still have not caught that little rabbit that's still running around out here and hiding from me. My little strawberry pot of impatiens have not done anything, hardly. They're almost still alive. Some of them aren't even. This one is barely. There's one in the back that's not even at all alive, so I need to replace it if I could find another one to put in it, but they just haven't done anything. It's just too hot for them. But I'm still hoping that one day we'll get some cooler weather and they'll still have a chance to go ahead and do something beautiful. I will actually try to put a picture of it last year when it had the white in it, and it was so beautiful. But I'm still thinking this red star impatient could look gorgeous too. Look at these little beauties. I love this pink and yellow together, and I planted them everywhere, but a lot of them didn't make it, and I just had to plant other ones that were mixed, so I didn't even know what color they would actually be. But at least I have them here, and it looks great. This beautiful little copper plant has lots of pretty colors in it, and I love that. Whereas this one is just mostly green. It has a little splash of other colors, but it's mostly green. But I do love the fact that it's healthy, and I had the wandering Jew under it, and it was dying, and I took it out and just put it in little pieces in some different soil, some fresh soil, and look how it's gone. It looks great. I love it. And this little coleus got so big that it was catching any breeze, and we have a lot of breeze sometimes, way more than a breeze, a strong wind. But it was catching it so badly that it actually was tipping my little pot over, so I had to clip it back. It still looks good, and you may not know I clipped it back if I didn't tell you, but it was quite a bit bigger. I actually like them better, a little bit smaller, plus the fact that they branch out and go wider and thicker and just look better to me. But sometimes it is impressive to have a big tall coleus in the garden too. Oh, this little zinnia, I'm pretty sure it's thinking, why is she holding that camera there and talking when she could be putting some water on me? So I do have to get after it and take care of that little situation. But it's been fun talking with you. And hopefully, I'm just looking so forward when there's time to go outside and enjoy the garden. It's just miserably hot, as I told you before. Oh, look at this. This is that fan flower that usually just dies for me, but here it is, just shining in great beauty. Isn't that wonderful? There must be something it likes about August weather and heat. I can't imagine what. And this is the month that usually we'll see, but usually the annual hibiscus begin to bloom. This one is red with a pendulous stamen, and it's a beauty when it blooms. I may still have some gladiolas to bloom in this pot. I hope I do. I love my little squirrels in this plot, but as you can see, they are totally covered up right now. But they're down in there. But I also love this beautiful red periwinkle. Isn't that pretty? I should have done a lot more of it because it's handling the heat. It's just giving color in the garden, and oh, it needs it so badly right now. And there's more of those daylily stalks that I need to pull up. I hope to get the garden presentable for at least one more pretty little garden party with my community and church friends, and then I'll probably quit doing that for a little while, at least until I can get some things done that I need to do in the garden. And I had quite a few little places where crabgrass and some weeds were taking over in the lawn, both front and back. Not any really big spots, but I did spray some Weed B Gone on those. I know they came from this area in front of the gardens, in front of the house. So actually I just went ahead and just killed the grass here, because most all of it was crabgrass and some, I don't know what kind of grass you call it, but it just makes a big old ugly clump, and it's not a pretty grass. It's not a desirable grass at all. So I sprayed that. I need to kill it out, because when we mow this, of course, and then it just takes that seed and all that stuff right back into our front and backyard, and that's how it got in there. So I'm trying to get rid of this, and we'll see if it will help to keep it out of our other gardens, which are actually looking pretty good right now, and I hope I can get them looking better and keep them looking good. So I did all that spraying in the heat, and I trimmed another huge bag. Actually, this is the second bag. We already took one of them off. So I have been doing some in the garden. I don't want to save it all until fall and not get to just enjoy the garden some while it's pretty enough to be out in it. But of course, I also want to be able to feel like getting out in it then, and I cannot do it and stay in this heat too long. And I have to stay probably minimum of 3 hours just to water everything, because I want stuff above ground. I pretty much got the in-ground stuff where I can use the soaker hose, or the hose that I've made into a soaker hose. But I just want all the things that are up too, that lift your eye up and give you some more dimension in the garden. And I just want all that stuff, and mostly I want it for you, because I want you to be able to see all this beauty and get to enjoy it. That's what it's all about. Of course, it's also about me enjoying it too. I wanted to do this and see how the different flowers grew. I did not get to do that early on, and so I'm doing it in my later years, and not an easy task to do by any means. So, but it is something that everybody should get to see and enjoy at least somewhat, to see all that beauty. These are the naked lady or surprise or magic lilies that are beginning to wane. But you can see right over here that stalk goes up, and these are just now beginning to open. And I still think it's a wonderful idea to share the garden with those that maybe can't get out in their own gardens anymore, or even those who are working and just can't find the time to do it. I don't know how anybody, and I know there are people who do, but I just don't know how. Maybe because I started at a later age, or just health-wise, I don't know how, but I could not do it. I could not do it and do all that other too. And of course, I don't know how long I'll be able to do it now, but I know we'll have all this record of the garden, all the struggles and all the beauty and all the joys and all the moments when we wonder if we're going to make it through, especially through every single hot summer. The garden is starting to get that tired, worn out look. And so is the gardener, so much so. But I still want to freshen this up, because even though we're in the middle of summer and it is miserably hot, fall is still coming. In the fall, things will renew themselves. I'll try to get down all the stuff that's all ready, and it'll go ahead actually and finish up its doing its dying back all on its own. But all the old dead stems will still be here, and I will want to get those out of the way, so the stuff that is fresh and still alive and still looking great. Can you see this pretty little plumbago blue here? If I could get all that ratty stuff away from it, it would shine for us. I have put a few little fresh plants in with the pots of plants that just died, and I'm not sure if that little seedling is a plant, is a flower, or a weed, but these little coleus are, of course, plants, and they'll be beautiful. They're pretty now. But this was a hummingbird mint that's dead, and I'll go ahead and take that out. I was going to give it every chance possible before I took it out. Almost all of my tall phlox does need to be cut back, because it's already lost its bloom to the heat. I need to trim back all of my verbena and let it bloom again, because I think it will for fall. It's been trying to renew itself even in this summer's heat. We may even still have some of these pretty yellow petunias for our fall tour. I'm surprised they did so well after I clipped them off. They just came right back and filled back out again. And there actually are a few of the tall phlox that still have some color and beauty to them. But I am suspecting that they will too be gone before long. It's only the 9th of August, so they still have a long way to go in the heat, and they probably will not make it. And I said the 9th of August, and I'm sorry, it's actually the 7th today. So we have a lot of August still ahead of us. The crepe myrtles are still looking great. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.